Hi, I'm Justice. Like many people my age, I love video games. Perhaps a bit too much. I especially enjoy discussing video games with others. However, this can sometimes make me feel isolated since not everyone shares this interest. I believe this is because video games aren't the most accessible form of content. They require fine motor skills, can quickly become complicated, and often need an expensive console to play. So how can game companies make their products more accessible to a wider audience with fewer demands on the consumer? By transforming them into the most digestible form of entertainment, video. Specifically, movies. Video game movies and a solution. For Film 120. On paper, this seems like a great idea. Just take the characters and story from any game and make a movie out of it. Let's look at the first ever attempt, the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie. It definitely did good. Oh, that's not good. What happened here? The movie had the characters of Mario, as strange as some of them looked. I mean, look at this. This is supposed to be this. As for the story, the movie came out when we didn't have all that much to go off of. They turned the game of Mario into this. And I think it's clear to see why this movie didn't do well. They really didn't have much to turn into an hour-and-a-half plot for a movie. That movie is over 30 years old now. Has the film industry learned anything? Kinda. The process of turning a game into a movie should be easier now since we get games that are focused on the narrative and the characters, so let's look at a recent example, the 2022 Uncharted movie. The movie is based on the game series of the same name by Naughty Dog, a game studio credited for creating movie-like experiences. The setup for this movie should be perfect, a narrative, characters, and movie-like action. So the movie did good, right? Okay, a 6 out of 10 is better than the Mario movie, but how did they still mess this up? To understand what went wrong, we need to consider how most movies are structured. The hero's journey. The hero's journey is a common plot outline in movies, typically broken down into 12 steps, but I'll simplify it into 5 key stages. Number 1, the call to adventure. Nathan Drake wants to reconnect with his long-lost brother. Number 2, the trials. Nathan Drake's journey across the world to find him. Number 3, the third act breakup. Nathan Drake is betrayed by one of his allies and all hope seems lost. Number 4, the climax. Nathan Drake recovers from the third act breakup and faces the final challenge. Number 5, the conclusion. The result of the climax, what came from all of Nathan's hard work. These steps align closely with the plot of the Uncharted games, so why is the game so loved while the movie is so disliked? The film was based mainly on the 4th game in the Uncharted series, which, according to Google, has a 15-hour story. The movie, however, is only 2 hours long, about 1/7 of the length of the game. So what does the game do with this extra time that makes it so beloved? The primary difference lies in character development. One of the biggest complaints about the movie is how watered down the main characters feel. The game's 15-hour duration allows for in-depth character development, giving players time to watch the characters grow and change. In contrast, the movie has to condense the plot, characters, and world building into a 2-hour runtime. In the game, all of this additional character and world building takes place between our steps in the hero's journey. This leads to a lack of depth and emotional connection with the characters, making the movie feel rushed and incomplete compared to the game. So, we have two ends of the spectrum. Either a game with insufficient characters and plot to create a sensible movie, or a movie with too much character and plot to fit into a typical runtime. Does this mean a successful video game movie is impossible? Probably not. A good video game movie is likely achievable with the right game and a director and scriptwriters who are familiar and passionate with the source material. However, most games won't get that luxury. Does this mean my favorite game series can never be enjoyed by the general public? Not necessarily. If only there was a format that allowed more time to develop the story and characters. Perhaps by watching it in smaller chunks? Enter the TV series format. A TV series provides the extended runtime needed to delve into the complex narratives and character development that video games often have. This format allows for episodic storytelling, where each episode can focus on different aspects of the plot and characters, giving viewers a richer and more complete experience. This also aligns with the chapter-based story format that most narrative games have today. Let's look at the best example of a video game adapted into a series. HBO's The Last of Us. Released in 2023, it had 9 episodes based on the story of the first Last of Us game, which was also developed by Naughty Dog, the same studio behind the Uncharted series. The plot of the show closely follows the game's narrative. The story is set 10 years after a zombie outbreak has devastated humanity, reducing survivors to living in small settlements, mostly governed by remnants of the former government. Our protagonist, Joel, lost his daughter at the beginning of the outbreak and is left with no purpose in his life. This changes when Joel receives a mission to escort Ellie, a young girl around the same age as his late daughter, to a group of surgeons. Ellie is immune to the zombie infection, and the hope is that she can create a cure for the virus. What is so loved about the game is perfectly captured in the show, the evolving dynamic between Joel and Ellie. Over the course of the 15-hour game, whether you're killing zombies, solving puzzles, or just taking a moment to appreciate the scenery, the duo are always interacting. These constant conversations help them grow closer and change as characters. In The Last of Us game, these interactions are crucial. They provide context, backstory, and emotional depth. making the relationship between Joel and Ellie feel authentic and compelling. The game masterfully weaves these dialogues into gameplay, ensuring that players are always engaged with the character's development. The HBO series mirrors this approach by dedicating 9 episodes to the story. The show can explore the nuances of Joel and Ellie's relationship in a way that feels natural and unhurried. Each episode allows for moments of quiet reflection, intense action, and heartfelt conversation, capturing the essence of what made the game so beloved. This approach demonstrates how a faithful adaptation can honor the source material. By maintaining the focus on character development and emotional storytelling, the series resonates with both fans of the game and new viewers, proving that a video game adaptation is possible with the right format and attention to detail. I also think that this format can add to the narrative. The 3rd episode of The Last of Us show is a perfect example. This episode shifts the focus from our main duo to a side character, Bill. In the game, Bill appears in the 4th chapter and helps Joel and Ellie find a usable car for their journey. The show, however, takes that part of the story in a different direction. Instead of focusing on finding a car, it delves into Bill's past, telling an outstanding and incredibly emotional love story between Bill and his partner Frank. This entire story in the TV episode is based on a single line of dialogue from Bill in the game. Because this is a TV show and not a game, the creators were able to replace a section of gameplay with a more plot-focused and emotional narrative. In the end, Bill still helps Joel and Ellie find a car, taking away nothing from his role in their journey, while deepening his own character. This approach enhances the overall story and plot of The Last of Us. To conclude, I don't think that making a good video game movie is impossible, nor do I think a video game TV series will always be good. However, format-wise, creating a TV show will generally suit most modern games better. The extended runtime and episodic nature allow for more deeper character interaction and more nuanced storytelling, which are essential elements in more contemporary games. The main reason I wanted to do this video is that last week, my favorite game series Yakuza announced it would be getting its own TV adaptation releasing this fall. I'm very hopeful for this and the future of game-based TV shows. If done right, this format has the potential to bring the rich narratives and beloved characters of video games to a broader audience in a way that movies often struggle to achieve. Thank you for watching. Here are my sources.